I know what you're thinking when you look at this house. All in all, it's just another brick on the wall. But no, it's not. It's actually quite brilliant what they've done to the facade of this project. The way that this house is situated on the site, this large facade here, the longest part of the house, actually gets hit by this really harsh southern sun. When you look at this in plan, you'll notice that all the bedrooms are on this side of the house. Which means that if you remove this brick facade and you left just exposed windows, those rooms are going to get real hot during the day. On the ground level, you have some dining areas, you have another bedroom, you have a small kitchenette, and you have a bigger kitchen, and all these areas would be negatively affected by direct sunlight being hitting the spaces all day long. What the architects decided to do was take a brick veneer and alternate some of them to create an interlocking pattern that not only allows sunlight, but they also allow breezes to go into each of these spaces. Going back to the plan, they also add this atrium space, an inner courtyard, to allow all the breezes that go into this facade to circulate through the space and then be sucked in through this area over here. This is more apparent in this section where you see the sunlight entering and then the breeze is going through the space and the warm air rises and escapes through the top. So adding this interlocking brick veneer to the exterior just adds so many benefits to this house. Now get indirect sunlight, which lights up the space. You get breezes that go in from these spaces into the rest of the house. And also you're able to maintain a sense of privacy. Because as you can see, this house has a lot of neighbors, so privacy is pretty important. In this drawing, it's really apparent that there's a rooftop terraces located throughout the project, and there's an overabundance of plants and trees, which we'll get to in just a second. But I just want to show you how exactly the brick interlocks into the project and what the spaces look like because of this veneer. Great thing of having the plants located on the facade, there's a gap here between the actual facade and the structure of the house. You'll notice that they've actually added plants and other vegetation between, which cools the air a little bit, and it just gives it a more pleasant sensation as it enters the space. On the interior, these plants have the ability to decorate the spaces a little bit more. Here, it's not so amazing the way that they've placed the plants. It's just some vines growing here and there. But if they took the time to add certain plants and vegetation to this gap, it would really transform the space tremendously. The beautiful thing about having these plants on the exterior, besides adding other cooling efforts to the building, is that you are now also bringing different types of bugs, insects, any wildlife that thrives off of these plants. You're inviting them to the exterior of your house. And as someone mentioned in my last video, to the interior. You know, that's the unfortunate thing of having open spaces like this, but residents of these spaces are used to having bugs and wildlife enter their homes. But the beauty is that you have all this wildlife interacting with your house. It adds a lot of beauty to it and actually makes it feel almost like an ancient ruin that you stumbled upon. Pairing that facade with this courtyard creates for really nice interior environments where you have the quality of fresh air and you have the quality of natural light just illuminating the whole entire space. It just makes for some very pleasant architectural spaces. Now it's apparent that this isn't the most flashy interior. It's quite modest. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the materials that you see here were actually recycled from the owner's previous home. This design is such a great example of how you can take something so ordinary as a brick and use it and combine it with other elements such as vegetation to create these really intricate and really interesting works of architecture. This project is located in Alcalcut, India, and the architects are called A Threshold.